Hello and a very warm welcome from my side. I'm Svea Becker and I'm the SAP, one of the SAP community team members, and I'm your technical host today. But of course, I'm not alone. As always, I have great speakers with me today. I have Abhiraj and Heena here from our team from India. And Abhiraj is currently playing the role of product owner for the team, responsible for transactions like S-Note, ANST, and more in the SAP Basis component. And Abhiraj will start, but I will also introduce Heena shortly. So Heena is a senior ABAP developer, and she's supporting the software logistic in the OSC team. Welcome both, and also again, a warm welcome to all the attendees. We are going to start now, but first of all, if you want to ask a question during the presentation, it would be great if you use our Q&A functionality here in Zoom. When you hover over the black menu, click Q&A, and then you can submit your question. And now I hand over to Abhiraj, and I will put my video off so it's not distracting for everyone.
Thank
The
you.
stage is
Thank you very
yours.
much, Savia, for the introduction. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the session on the intelligent system maintenance with ANST. So maybe just a brief about what we do. So we are from the OCS team under this in SAP, which deals with all the correction processes within SAP. Basically, we deals with the ABAP correction processes. So all the how the correction should be implemented on the customer side, how the correction should be created at the SAP end, and how these things are managed. That is something which we handle. And to handle all these things, we have multiple frameworks, and ANST is one of them, which is a troubleshooting tool so that it helps customers as well as developers in identifying the bug fixes as well as identifying list of SAP nodes that are missing in the customer system. So I will just pause a bit for the disclaimer. So this is a normal disclaimer that we have for the confidentiality of the content that we are going to present. And the agenda would be, we'll start off with the tool overview, the ANST, which is also known as Automated Node Search Tool. And then I would like to spend some time on discussing about the new features of ANST that we have delivered in last 2 years. And then we'll also explain how a system maintenance can be done more easily using the ANST tool during the S4 conversion project. And then we'll have a demo for the tool and also for the maintenance project for the S4 conversion. And then we can, if we have time, we can also spend some time for the Q&A as well. So this is a small graph of how ANST should be used, or I would say in what all situations ANST can be used. So first of all, who can use ANST? ANST can be used by the support specialists, the consultants, and the developers. So anybody who has just an authorization of the base of the ABAP system, and if they are currently doing some developments or either processing few things on the systems, they can simply use ANST. It's a very easy tool to use because it deals with handling of traces. So what needs to be done is a transaction called ANST needs to be started, and then a replication of issue needs to be done. So for let us say example, I'm trying to create a sales order, and during the creation of sales order, I have encountered a bug. It can be a dump or it can be an error message that is identified during this processing. And now I do not know how to resolve this. So one of the processes is either I create an OSS incident on SAP so that I try to identify that if there is any already solution available or not, or if it is a solution is not available, then we try to also see if a new note, SAP note can be provided with the new bug fixes. So what ANST does is instead of creating a sales order directly in the transactions, it can also be replicated using the ANST tool. And once this replication happens, it also identifies all the list of notes that potentially could be one of those nodes where this particular bug is resolved. So it will help in analyzing and replicating the issue, and all the nodes that the system feels might be relevant to which can resolve this issue will be displayed. And then the customer has an advantage of implementing either all the nodes or implementing some of the nodes based on the short text that is getting displayed over there. And then the issues will be resolved. If the issue is resolved, then it is fine. But even if it is not resolved, then often we have also situations that the SAP standard code has some manual modifications, which we call as the custom code. And there can be also some issues related to the customizing as well on the systems. And this can also lead to inconsistency because it has broken the standard SAP processes that has to be followed, let's say for an example, to create a sales order. So apart from finding all the notes, it will also find all the relevant the customer codes and the customizing objects also. So it becomes an identification tool as well, so that whoever is processing the ANST will also be aware that okay, these are some things which are manually modified and can also be cause of the problem. Uh, with the help of notes and with the help of customer code, I think the large probability of issues will be resolved, and then we lead to a faster resolution. And of course, we will have situations where still some notes are not available, or maybe this is not point to the right notes that is available. So anytime we can create an SAP OSS incident, and the issue can be processed by the colleagues in SAP. So in general, it will benefit all the support specialists, the consultants, and the developers across, not only across all the customer globe, but also across within SAP. So a lot of developers within SAP also use this tool in order to uh, do some debugging purpose. It detects the SAP nodes I explained, and also the customer codes, and also the customizing codes that is involved in the entire processing. And I also mentioned about a debugging tool. So we'll also go through a small demo where we'll also talk about how it can be used in an efficient way for the debugging purpose for the custom implementations. Uh, Now, where is this tool available? Since we are dealing with finding standard notes, and we are dealing with the, I would say, the nerve of how the corrections have to be identified and maintained, and hence this tool is available on the SAP basis layer itself. So in the NetWeaver release, we have it from certain SPs, considering from the 700 release. So we have it from SP28. For 701, we have it from SP13. From 702, we have it from SP13. And from 731, we have from SP06. And from 740 and above, we have it from the base SP itself. So when I talk about the conversion process, the S4 conversion process, I think all the systems will be on 740 and above, and hence this feature is already available in the base SP. But yeah, just to be careful for the lower releases, we have only dedicated support packages from where this tool is made available. So what are the new features over here? So uh, I also spoke some things about that what ANST in general does. So it tries to generate the trace for during the processing, and then it tries to use all the traces and then process all the objects. So this was something which was made available, I would say 10 years back. And then we had a small requirement from one of our teams who wanted to enhance this tool so that it can be used more proactively for the debugging purposes. And also now we have Fiori applications being launched. So maybe some improvement so that the tool can adapt to those traces as well. So now we have some new features. The first is to option to filter the trace. So sometimes when we try to process a huge application, the trace generated also will be huge, and let us say we are not interested in all type of components or all type of objects, then the filter of trace option is also available, and then that also can help us in narrowing down the objects that we want to do a node search, or do we want to find out the customer codes for them. Also, we have enabled the support for collecting the trace for the Fiori applications now, only for the backend processes, because we cannot launch a Fiori application directly from ANST. So ANST has to be opened from the gateway system from this, and then all the backend processes which happens on ABAP, for those the nodes can be identified. Also, we have now a provision to set and delete breakpoints on the objects that are collected by the trace. So you do not have to go to or I would say you do not have to go to the object type and set external breakpoints, but instead with the all the trace information available in one screen, you can set and delete all the breakpoints. Also, the saving of trace now can be done in the call stack order. Earlier, it was not done in the call stack order because it was not required, because we only used it for the node implementation processes. But now, since it is more of a debugger tool as well, so we have storage in the call stack order, which will make sure that always store the stack information about how the processing has been done. on the certain process. Also, the download feature is now available. So on a normal customer landscape, we always have the dev quality and the production landscape where the issues are mostly identified in the test system. But yeah, we know that not in the systems people implement nodes, but the nodes are always implemented in the development systems, and then these are moved to the other landscapes. So now it is possible that a customer can reproduce the error in the test systems or on the production systems, and they can download those traces locally into their system, and then they can again use the dev system to upload these traces, and then they do not have to perform the or they do not have to redo the same process of identifying the bug, which might not be even reproducible on the dev landscape. So it also becomes useful that we have a provision to move the traces from one system to other, so that we reduce the runtime, and we also it also helps us in identifying the correct nodes and download it into the correct system. Also, the option to view all the tables is collected using the trace. So earlier we did not have an option to display the list of tables that has been identified during a particular processing, but now we also display the list of tables and also what type of tables are being involved in the entire process. Next, I will talk about the intelligent system maintenance using ANST in the S4 conversion process. So this is one of the advantages now that ANST has, and we have also adapted the tool so that we can leverage some of huge data that is available on the customer system to do a prominent node search over here. So this will be a bit different process from what we have from a normal standard ANST functionality. So in normal ANST functionality, we reproduce the errors and reproduce the issue and try to find out nodes. In this process, we'll try to just reuse all the objects that has been part of the usage data, and then we try to process the nodes information. So I will start with a general setup of what we have in a customer system. So we have a customer landscape, which will be probably having a test system and a production system, and there will be a separate development system as well. So let us say I have started the S4HANA conversion process. I have finished the S4HANA conversion process, and now I am in the testing phase where I want to evaluate whether the conversion has been successfully done or not. And as we know that at SAP, we have a lot of note fixes that is available even for the S4 HANA conversion, which has to be implemented after the conversion is done. So this particular entire process will help us in identifying those list of notes uh, that can be implemented, and then we can say that the testing of the setup for the S4HANA conversion is done. So we have the test and production landscape, and then we have a dev landscape. So we will always have the usage data in the SCMON. So SCMON, the customers have to enable the SCMON in order to get the usage data, and these usage data will be huge. It can be for years, for months, or for even several days. So this will have all the object information that has been processed during a particular time. So once this usage data is available in SCMON, it will be stored in SUSD transaction. So we have the information available in SUSD transaction, and all these information can be downloaded locally into a custom into a local system. So now what exactly has happened during the testing phase? A lot of scripts or a lot of testing has been done on the test and production landscape, and then now we know that we have these amount of objects that has been processed during the entire process. And then now we want to find out that whether we have missed out any nodes, or are there any relevant nodes that needs to be implemented on the dev system now. So we have downloaded all the usage data using the SUSG. So that is step 2, which is done. And the step 3 would be that I come back to my development system and I upload this usage data into SUSG again, so that it can become readable for ANST. So from the test environment, I have moved to my dev environment where I have now all the usage data information available with me. And now I will again launch ANST, and I will start uploading the usage data to ANST. So once this file usage data is uploaded, then the next step will be that based on the usage data and based on the trace, I would say, uh, we find all the list of nodes that has to be implemented in the system. So it will also give you a filtered output. So it will not give you all the nodes that has been identified in the trace, but it will always provide you all the valid nodes that needs to be implemented on the system. And the final step would be to implement all these nodes in the development landscape, and then the issues will be resolved. So this is on a high level how the entire thing works. We also have a demo planned in the second part of this presentation where Hina will go through this entire process of explaining that how this entire process will work. Maybe I will also touch upon some other aspects. One more content would be that what actually happens on the SAP side. How is SAP able to identify the list of nodes that is relevant for the system? So what happens when you trigger when you upload the data in ANST? We always have this SAP support backbone system where we have the information about all the nodes. So all the object list is passed to the support backbone system, and then we try to filter out which are the object list or which are the nodes that has to be identified, and it will also filter out based on the customer system details, which means that on which software component it is, so that it can also provide only the valid information. So yeah, this is how a customer can process this tool and identify the list of valid nodes in the testing phase in the S4 HANA conversion process. Uh, Now let us come to the demo part. So in the demo, we have two demos. So we'll start off with a demo where we'll try to explain what the tool does in general. And then we'll have the second demo where we try to also explain how this conversion process actually works, and then how it can identify the valid nodes in the testing phase. So I will hand it over to Hina now. So I
Thank
will
you,
stop sharing
yeah. Thank you, Abhiraj,
and
for the presentation. And
mhm.
I will present the demos. So is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That looks good.
Uh, yes, Hina, now we can see it.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. I will be presenting the demos for ANST tool. So it involves two demos. So the first one will I will demo the features of the ANST tool and how the user can generate the trace and also use the additional features which are introduced in the tool. And the second demo, we will talk about the usage trace and how we can trigger the node search for the usage trace. So to start with, the transaction for the ANST is ANST itself. In this transaction, this is the home screen. So here you can see we provide various options to the users to generate the trace. So the execution data, this section has the various options provided for the user. For example, the transaction, the program, the BSP application, WebDenpro application, or any Fury application, but only the backend, that is OData. So these are the various types of initial points using which the user can initiate the trace generation. And in the next section, we have the filter criteria. And if the user wants to filter down the trace for a particular component or software, and also even the package. And for the customers who only want to generate the trace for their custom objects, we have this option of customer code only. The user can check this option. Then the trace will only generate it for the customers customized objects. And since this trace is not is just generated once, if you come back it will go away. But if the user wants to save it, we have option of save the trace parameters. We have to check this option, save trace, and with the by giving a meaningful description. So in this demo, I will generate a trace for a transaction, say S. So basically, in real time, we generally, if we face any issue, any dump or any error, so generally we provide that particular T code here, and we click on execute, and this tool will navigate us to that particular transaction code. So here we gave S node, so it navigated to us, and we will perform any action to reproduce the scenario. And once the user comes back, as you can see, the trace is getting generated. And the trace. Now it will go back to the ANST tool. So here we can see that whatever the objects called in that particular stack are being captured in this trace. So it is
Hina, I would like to interrupt. Maybe I would just like to interrupt over here. So there was a question that how do I check whether ANST setup has been done correctly or not? So I think this is the right time in the demo. Maybe I can also explain a bit over here that what usually happens is you do not have to have an error situation to validate whether ANST is working or not. What you need to just make sure is that whether you have the traces getting generated and the node search and the customer codes are getting identified correctly or not. So in this example, as Hina mentioned, that she just launched the S-Note tool, which means we just have launched a transaction and then we just processed something. So we did not find any error, but we have just processed something and then we came back so that the trace is generated. So that is also one of the ways you can just validate whether your ANST implementation has been done correctly on the system or not. Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
And
Please go ahead.
sometimes, this is Svea speaking, sometimes your sound is a little bit interrupted. So I think it makes maybe sense that you put off your video so that the bandwidth is better and then the audience can hear you better. Okay?
Sure, sure. Okay, so I will continue the demo. So here we can see this is the trace which is generated. And since also explained that no need, it's not necessary that there should be particular error or not. You can simply generate a trace for a positive scenario. And here this is the tree which gives you the details of the trace categorized for every application component. And if we expand the tree, we can see all the objects which are part of that trace, the methods, the reports, the DynPro. And also we have a filter option here as well. The trace can be filtered further. So if I want for example BCUPGNA component, the trace can be filtered here, so it's more relevant for the developer to drill down and not execute the whole trace and for the troubleshooting purpose. So here the node search option is there, which will search the nodes which includes these objects selected by the user. So this node search functionality I will explain more in the next demo. And now I will explain you few of the features which we have introduced in the tool. So first is the scan source. So basically it is a wildcard search functionality which we have provided for the developers. So user can give any particular keyword. And like for example any error message or any exception the user is facing or anything. So it will give you the hits of a particular list of objects where that keyword is found, and the developer can directly navigate to that object from the tool itself. So here I'm trying to navigate to the object where I found a particular search, and then the next option is the customer code. So if I want the trace to be found only for the customer objects, and I need to find that only these objects should be displayed, or I want to the user wants to check which objects are part of the customer, which are customized by the customers. So this is that option. And then in the home screen also we have provided the save option, but here also the option is there to save the trace with the meaningful description. And then we have a download trace, so the user can also download the trace so this will basically download this trace in the Excel. And then we have tables option. So we have two customizing tables and all tables. So the customizing tables will display all the customizing tables which are modified by the customers, so we can view that. And also in the all tables option, we can also view what are the tables involved in the trace. So if user is facing any issue with the updation of the tables, or what are the tables involved in that error generation, that user can drill down. And then we have one more option as part of developer efficiency for the breakpoints. So on the selected objects, user can set the breakpoint, delete the breakpoint, and you can do it multiples, like delete or like in all the selected selected objects you can delete. So for example, if user wants to set a breakpoint in this function module, and it will click on breakpoint and then set. So if I now navigate to that particular object, we can see an external breakpoint is set for this object. So this way it's also helping the developers to debug, to troubleshoot the scenarios. And similarly, we can delete the breakpoints. So as we all know, SAP standard allows only 30 breakpoints to set. So similarly is handled by this. And also for the objects where the breakpoints cannot be set, the tool intimates the user with that pop-up. So here we can see we have set the breakpoint and we have deleted the breakpoint. And coming back to the home screen, so this till now we have shown you how to generate a trace, what are the different actions the user can perform on the trace: filter, save, download, delete, setting and deleting the breakpoints. And also user can have the option to open the saved trace. So we can view the trace which were uploaded by us previously. So this is the option. If we double click on that trace, it will again open the save screen. We can delete the trace if not required. Trace on and off option is if we have provided. There are certain applications which are not comes underlying in the scope of the options which are provided in the tool. So in this, it is like activating the trace in the system. So if we open anything in the new session and then come back to this tool and off this trace, it will generate the trace for that all the actions which we have performed. And then we also have in the bottom, we have upload trace option. So the trace which we downloaded, the similar trace can be uploaded. I say the Excel file can be uploaded here, and the same it can be displayed and the actions can be performed. So this is the first demo where I have explained you how the user can generate the trace, perform the actions and the filters, and also the upload the trace. And now in the next demo, I will be explaining the usage data from the local system. So this option, basically we have provided mostly the use case for this is the S4 conversion program, where there is a requirement where the customer has to implement bulk of nodes, and not implement before that. We have to search for nodes to correct the processes in their systems. So in this scenario, for example, I have my test system and testing is going on there, but I need so many nodes, and first of all we have to search for that nodes. So what the user has to do, they have to download the trace from the test system, and then they have to come to the dev system and upload the trace in SUSG transaction. So so right now I'm at a stage where I have already downloaded the trace and I've uploaded in this particular system. So to view that, the SUSG is the transaction. So this is the transaction, and on the manage snapshot options we can see. So for example, here I have uploaded from UIA system. This is the trace. We can see from this usage data is valid from which to which date, and uploaded by whom, when, and also the data records in it. So all these details we can view here. So we can upload multiple snapshots, or we can call it as traces, usage traces. So now once the snapshot is available in my system, I will go to ANST tool again. So basically we have enhanced this tool also that particular type of trace which we call as usage trace. So to upload that trace on the ANST tool, so that ANST tool can understand that trace, I have to select, the user has to select this option and click on the snapshot and select a particular snapshot uploaded by the user, and the valid from valid to dates will be automatically filled. So here for example, this trace is valid, is taken for 140 days. For example, the user can further put an additional filter to drill down it for 10 days or 1 month. And similarly we have a root type which is like T, V, O, like that. So T is for transaction. If we are selecting T, then maybe this option you can give a root name like any transaction, S note or SE30, anything. So here we will upload a trace and by giving a semantic description to it. So this will upload the usage trace in on your ANST tool. So we'll continue. So now this have started reading that trace and uploading it to the ANST tool. So here we can see the trace has been uploaded, and here also we have categorized it based upon the application components. So here the only difference between this trace and the ANST trace, which I showed you in the previous demo, the only difference is that there we can also see the limu object level, but here we can only only view the R3TR level objects. The why there is a difference, because there is a limitation for the tree to display huge data, and since in the usage trace it's by default we are known that we have to deal with the really huge data. So now I will show you, for example, now in this trace I want to trigger a node search for say HCN application component SAP HANA, and I have to click on node search. So here a pop-up will come for the user to select the type of the node search they want to trigger, the foreground or background. So in the previous version of the tools, user won't have they didn't have this option, as I explained that because of the amount of data we are dealing with, it's very difficult to run the search in the foreground. So that's why a background option is introduced, so that the bulk search of the nodes can be processed smoothly. So in the background node search, a background job will be scheduled, which will search for the nodes for all the objects. So here we can see for 91 R3TR objects we are triggering the search. So if I continue, so we will get the information on the job ID. So this job ID is for the user reference to check in the job details, like when it get finished and what is the status, and so that the user has to not wait. So let's check the status of this job. So in SM37 we see the job is active, and let's refresh, and the job got finished, and the user can go to the job log, and here we can see that when the job got started and what is the description and started by whom, and what are the total objects to be searched. So as I showed you, there are 91 R3TR objects, but actual objects which went for the search are 796. So this includes all of the limu objects, and then it processed the search, and the total number of result records are 83. So for these 796 objects we got 83 SAP nodes, which the user in the dev system. So this is the button where the user can click and see the results. So the background node search results. So these are the SAP nodes which we got as a result. We in this one we can you also have an option to download the node. We can see the status, if the node is in the system or not, the priority, the node number, and the application area the node belongs to. So we can also navigate to the node number by double clicking on the node number link. It will navigate to the SAP Launchpad. So this way we are performing the usage trace performance, the ANST tool helping the customers to getting the notes. It's basically saving a lot of customers time to search for each and every note on the SAP Launchpad, for which is relevant for their application component. So that's all from demo perspective. So now the room is open for Q&A. I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Thank you too. So everyone, now it's time to ask your question. As I said in the beginning, you can use the Q&A functionality here, but you can also speak up. So for example, if you hover over your name, and then you can raise your hand and I can then unmute you so that you are going to speak up. And we had already questions, which Abhiraj already answered.
Yeah, we had one question which I had answered. If there are any more questions, then yeah, feel free to ask.
So this is the possibility to connect with your experts from SAP. So ask your questions now. And of course, we have also more information in the SAP community. So for example, we have the topic page on software logistics, and I add the link here now. So you can also use the link and can click directly on the link to be guided to the SAP community. And we will also provide the presentation and the recording afterwards, and this can be found as well on our SAP community page. And I have added the link here in the chat during the presentation, and I also recommend to follow Abhiraj and Heena in SAP community. And Dominic is asking a question: are the new features mentioned also available in older NW releases?
Yeah. So when we say older NetWeaver releases, so first of all, I would like to categorize the NetWeaver release like we have very old releases, which I would categorize as below 700 releases. So below 700 releases, we do not have any maintenance support. So hence we were not able to have this tool in lower than 700 releases. But from 700 onwards, we have this tool available. But yes, as I have mentioned in one of my slides, which I would like to share again, that we had support only from certain SAP basis releases. So maybe I can cover that again. I will share my screen quickly. And just let me know once you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so the tool is available from 700 onwards, and but it will be available on a higher support package. So for 700, I would say we have it available from SP28. From 701, we have it from SP13. From 702, again we have it from SP13. From 731, we have it from SP6. But from 740 and onwards, we have it for all the base SP is also covered. And what I would also like to tell is that what we had is we had this as a lab preview, the feature for the testing phase for the S4 HANA conversion. So this is a feature that we have developed this year, but it is not yet live for the customers. And what we are also planning to do is we are planning to release it next year. But if anybody is interested, then you can drop me an email and we can also help you in making you the pilots, and then we can also proceed in and we can also make the note available for you guys as well, so that you can also uh, use this feature and provide us some feedback. Yeah, there are okay. So the next question is, yes, so for 740, yes, the background node search feature can be used. Yes, you have to implement certain nodes. So you can, Dominic, if it would be good if you can just contact me, and then we can take the discussion ahead, and I can also provide you all the list of nodes that needs to be implemented by you to in order to get this feature. So these notes are currently not released for all the customers. So we will make it pilot for you, and then you can also implement this and give us our feedback. Yeah, thank you.
And maybe you can share your last slide with your contact data and the
Yes,
community
sure.
profile. So you can also, of course, connect via the SAP community profile, as you see here. When you follow each other in the SAP community, you can exchange direct messaging. So although you have also the email addresses here now, with anyone you don't have the email addresses, just follow each other and then you can exchange direct messaging. And there is a question in the chat. Abhiraj, if you may read this loud out so that everyone understands and then answer it.
So I've already answered all the questions. I do not
The,
see any
there is
opening.
one in the chat from Thomas. When you performed the demo in SOTE, you receive many programs that have been called and may nodes that might be suitable. How can you find the node that is really relevant? That is, how can you find out which of the many SAP nodes provided by ANST is the one you are looking for, and which of the many programs, function modules you have called has called the issue?
Yes. So yeah, I would say this is a bit tricky. So we know that if you try to process any application, you will not only process the objects belonging to that application, but you can also have a lot of other things which is getting involved in the entire process. How we can filter out is in the demo you would have seen that you get the filtration based on the application components, where you can define that I only want to search the nodes for a particular component. So that will help you in some filtration, but still I would not say that you can really filter it out based on per object level. But yeah, at least some filtration you will have based on the application component. But over there also, once the nodes are displayed, you will also have short text for the nodes. These short texts are for the purpose of identifying that whether these short texts also resemble to the same issue that you have encountered. So yeah, some manual effort in reading the node short text and identifying which would be the appropriate one. But yeah, I would not say that it will be always guaranteeing that, okay, this was the note you were looking for. So you will always find the notes that you're looking for using ANST, but you will always find certain more notes as well, which has been part of the entire processing.
Yeah, and also to add to the answer, the nodes which are displayed in the result are valid for your SP, current SP. What we also send the install SP information while searching the nodes. So you will only get those nodes which can be implemented. So basically those corrections are not there. So this way also we can. This is helpful to implement the correct node.
Mhm.
Thank you both. One more
Okay.
question in the
Yeah.
Q&A.
So the next question is it possible to upload a trace in a system like Solution Manager from an ERP source? And is the node source then useful? Uh, Yes, it will be useful, because when we talk about the traces that is saved, it is a local file that gets saved in ANST. So if anything has been performed on the solution manager system, I know that in the ERP systems, those objects might not be made available, but still you will have all the trace information made available with you. So yes, you can identify, still use these traces from the solution manager and upload it into your ERP source as well.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, then I can only say a big thank you to you both for being part of the SAP Community Call series. And we have some more to come in this series. So for example, tomorrow is next call, and let me check. Here is, I'm sorry, here is the link to the blog post from Preeti, where the series has been announced. So when you follow the blog post, you will get updated as soon as we have provided the presentation over there. Thanks everyone for joining today. I wish everyone a nice day ahead, and talk to you soon in one of the next calls. Thank
Yep.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.